Good evening, everyone. My name is Sunil, and I'm the trainer for this SAP HANA 1.0 training session. Okay, so just to give you a brief about myself and my experience, I've been in this SAP world for more than 16 years. I started as an ABAPer, and then I entered into BW. I did a lot of work in BPC, APO, and all the systems, CRM, all the systems. Right now, I am a solution architect, independent consulting, working in the US for the last 13 years. Okay, so I'm at a position right now where I create solutions on HANA. I've been working in the HANA for the last four plus years. Okay, so it's been like a mix and match of lot of technology, lot of functional area. That I have exposure to, because of which I'm today a solution architect, and this training is my hobby. Okay, so I love to share knowledge, so that is the reason why I make this a habit. Whenever I have time, I take training. Okay, so from that perspective, I can assure you that you are in the right forum if you are trying to get into SAP HANA field. Okay, I handle both SAP HANA and SAP BW HANA sessions here, so I'm very good in SAP BW and HANA as well. If any one of you have any questions on that topic also, you can shoot those questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer the questions. Okay, so that's a brief about myself. Before I start my session, I generally ask if there is anyone in this forum or in this group who is very new to SAP or who has some exposure to SAP. Generally, my batches are like, it's a mix and match of people who are new to SAP and people who worked in SAP ABAP or BW. Now they want to learn HANA. So is there anyone in this group batch where, who is very new to SAP world? Just tap it in the chat window. This is not to gauge you or anything, because my training will always be at a layman level, at a slow pace, because I want everyone to understand the content that I'm going to give over a period of 60 hours, roughly around 60 hours. Okay. So even if you don't want to do it right now, maybe later, but my batch, my demo session will again be going at a very slow pace, assuming that there are students who are very new to SAP. Okay, so if it is like, if you guys have exposure to SAP, if you feel that this is all these things, I know all these things, so please bear with me. That is how this one will go. Okay, this session will go. All right. And again, at any point in time, anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. The more the questions, the more interesting the session becomes. So please feel free to ask questions. No question is a silly question, so feel free. All right. Let's get started. What is the agenda for this session? All right. So as I said, I'm going to start with very basics. So I'll start with what is ERP, what is SAP, what is the SAP Global Market Capitalization, why SAP, then what is OLTP system and OLAP system in general, and then what are those systems with respect to SAP world. Okay, and then I'll come to HANA, overview of SAP HANA, why SAP HANA is in the market. Now, if you guys go to any job site in the SAP area, you will see lots of questions, lots of requirement. Just one moment. Okay. So a lot of requirements based on HANA, BW HANA, migration, HANA modeling, HANA SQL, right? So everyone obviously who are in SAP world want to move to SAP HANA, who are not in SAP world want to shift over to SAP and SAP HANA, because HANA is the future. So we want to know why HANA became so famous. What is SAP's positioning of SAP HANA, right? Roles and responsibilities in a project. What type of projects do we have in this market? Okay. After this training, where will you fit, right? That's very important, because training, of course, is done to enhance your knowledge. At the same time, after the training, you want to get onto a project. Most of them want to get onto a project. Some people will go to certification and then get onto a project. So what are the roles and responsibilities? What are the type of projects where you can fit in after this particular training? Okay, and then we will open for question and answers. So this particular demonstration is going to take anywhere between an hour or hour and a half. Okay, so depending upon how fast or like how many questions I receive, but at least 1 hour for sure. Okay, so that's the brief, that's the agenda. So let's start. What is SAP? Okay. So SAP, those who are working in this area will know this word and will know this catchphrase, I can say, because this is not a word. Okay, because we do not pronounce it as SAP. No, never ever pronounce it as SAP. Always pronounce it as SAP. It stands for Systems, Applications, and Programming. Okay, Systems, Applications, and Programming. If you see, these three words do not form a sentence or do not form kind of one term. That is why this word SAP, this phrase SAP, has to be pronounced as SAP, not SAP. Okay, if you go to any SAP professional and if you say SAP, then they will clearly know that you are not working in this area. So please never ever pronounce this as SAP. Always pronounce it as SAP. All right. So during the late 1990s, when ERP packages came into system, ERP. Okay. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. Enterprise Resource Planning. Okay. So ERP systems are the systems that came into existence to support the day-to-day activities of an organization, meaning electronic transactions. Electronic transactions. What do I mean? Let us say we have Amazon.com or any company, any organization, product company, okay, or sales company. All right. So this company produces materials and then sells the materials. All right. So in this case, let's say I am a customer, and I place an order for a product. Right. Earlier days, before the digital revolution, okay, this would be a paper sales order. Okay, which is on paper. All right. And then when the company or when the organization sends the product out, they create a delivery document. Okay, delivery. And this is again on paper. Right. And once the product has been delivered, they create an invoice or billing to the customer. Right. Obviously, they have to charge the customer. So invoice. This is also on paper. So all these activities used to happen on paper. Okay, that was pre-digital era. Right. So now once this digital era came into picture, several products came into market. Which would do all these transactions, sales order, delivery, invoice, okay, all these transactions electronically. Those systems were named as ERP systems or Enterprise Resource Planning Systems. Okay, so the same thing which was happening on paper now would happen on system, electronic system. So customer sends a sales order online, goes to a website and prints a sales order, creates a sales order for a product, right? And then the company, the organization sends the delivery, and the delivery document is online. Again, right? And then the invoice is again online, right? I'm pretty sure pretty much everyone in this particular batch, in this particular session, is able to correlate this. we have moved away from paper usage. Okay, we are in a digital era now, so everything happens online. For example, if you go to Amazon.com and if you buy something, you are not getting any paper. Everything is on in the email, electronic format. Correct? So a system which helps or which supports end-to-end transactions of an organization is called ERP system, Enterprise Resource Planning System. Okay, and when this became a good product, meaning when this became more and more famous in the market, several companies started building packages. Okay, Oracle, for example. Okay, Oracle, SAP. Okay, Siebel. There were so many when they started. There are so many companies, so many products, ERP products. So SAP is one such ERP product that came into market. Okay, Oracle is one. So there are so many. Let's not go into too much depth. But SAP is one such product. Okay, ERP product. Okay, but SAP became very famous for several reasons. SAP became very famous for several reasons, and SAP is the market leader in the ERP packages today. SAP in the ERP packages, SAP package or SAP product is the #1 product. Wherever you go, like you can see in all regions, like America.
Oh yeah, I can hear now.
Hello.
Thank you.
All right. Let's keep our microphones on mute unless you want to ask any questions. Okay, please. Otherwise, it will create some noise in the background to disturb the entire class. All right. So SAP is one such product which has, which is the market leader in ERP packages. So now let us understand why SAP became so famous. Okay. So some products were came into the market. For example, Oracle. Let's say we have an organization. Which wants to go with, which want to bring in some ERP package now, because they want to move away from this paper processing and they want to automate their processes. They want a system to support their end-to-end activities. Okay, so now they want to bring in some ERP package. So now they have several packages. They have Oracle, they have SAP. So how do they decide on which package do they want to go to? Right. So for that, I always explain this. There are several departments in an organization. If it is a manufacturing or product company, we can say manufacturing is one of the departments, right? Manufacturing, right? And then before manufacturing, procurement. They have to procure the raw materials, right? Procurement. And then once they produce the goods, they have to sell. Okay, so sales, right? And then once they do the sales, when they sell the product, obviously they have to collect taxes and they have to pay taxes to the government, right? So accounting, right? Accounting. And then if their sales are going very well, they want to do some planning also. It could be demand planning, it could be production planning, whatever it could be. They want to do some planning also, planning activity also. These are different type of activities or different, what I call as functional areas that are prevailing in most of the organizations, right? So let us say today the organization wants to buy a package or implement a package for sales or finance, let's say accounting or finance. Okay, so they will go with, let's say, Oracle Finance. Okay, which is a very famous product for finance. All right. So now, if they do that, let us say 1 year down the line or 6 months down the line, they want to implement sales. Okay, Oracle does not have a pre-built or suited product for sales. Their Oracle Finance application is very famous, no doubt, but it caters for finance or accounting department. But if the organization wants to install sales, they'll have to go with a different product. Let's say they want to go with SAP here, okay? But the interface between SAP and Oracle will not be smooth because they talk different languages. Like I speak English, and in Brazil, if I go, they speak Portuguese, so I can't understand them, they can't understand me. It will be very hard. We need a translator, right? So the communication between SAP and Oracle is not smooth, right? So let's say they implement sales in SAP. Now, for manufacturing, SAP has a separate module. So they can install SAP, they can implement SAP manufacturing. They can install SAP, they can implement SAP procurement. They can install planning, they can install the planning module of SAP, right? So the point here is SAP has a product or module for pretty much all the functionalities in an organization. SAP has a package for or module for finance as well, SAP Finance, right? So SAP caters to pretty much all the departments or all the functional areas in an organization. That is the primary reason. And if a customer implements sales and procurement or sales and finance in SAP, since it is the same product, okay, they all speak, let's say, English, okay? So since they speak the same language, the communication or the interface between these modules is seamless and very smooth, okay? For that reason, SAP is the market leader in this ERP world. All right. Now, there are two types of systems in ERP. Okay. Okay. OLTP and OLAP systems. What are OLTP systems? What are OLAP systems? We have to understand that first before even we go into what is SAP, what is HANA, and other things. Okay. So let us understand what is OLTP system, what is OLAP system, and what are the differences between these two. Okay, OLTP and OLAP. Okay, so OLTP system is a system that supports day-to-day transactions. Right, transactions. Just like I explained here in the very first slide, day-to-day transactions, like in the sales area, creation of a sales order, creation of a delivery, right? Creation of invoice, all these things. So these are day-to-day transactions or live transactions. Okay. There is a question here. Let me just take a look at does SAP have a product for marketing and communications in an organization? Marketing generally is, you are talking about more of research and, research about marketing the products and, analyzing the data, right? They do have, okay, Michael? They do have a product. They do have a reporting tool, business objects tools, which help you, and they have acquired several new companies, and there are several new dimension tools that have come into SAP, which definitely helps you to do the marketing in any organization. Okay. All right. So now, a system that supports day-to-day activities, like I explained a few minutes before, that system is called OLTP systems. So this particular system supports real-time transactions. Clearly understood, right? So any sales order that is being created, right? A customer placing a sales order, that is supported by OLTP system. Okay. So what is OLAP system? What is OLAP system? Before I even go there, OLTP stands for online transaction programming or protocol. Okay, whereas OLAP stands for online analysis program or protocol. Okay, as the name itself says, this particular OLAP system, what about the internal and external communications? Michael, we can have a discussion on this, of course, at the end of the session, but still, just to answer your question, internal and external communications can be marketing. That is the reason why I did not go in detail about it. Marketing is a big thing, right? You can market on your website, you can market on different websites or different channels, online marketing, paper marketing, right? So communications. So these are a lot of things. So definitely SAP has interfaces to to let an organization market in different ways. Okay, so communications, definitely the interfaces. When you say communications, definitely there are a lot of interfaces that SAP has provided which can communicate to different channels and which can definitely help you in marketing. Okay, good question. Because that is a big topic, like that topic definitely will go on for hours together. Marketing and strategy making, marketing, right? So channel marketing. So all these things, there are different interfaces that are provided by SAP, and they are very new dimension products and technology that are coming into SAP, right? Now, so online analysis programming or protocol. So what is this? As the name itself says, this is a system that helps you analyze the data. Okay, analyze the data. Why do you want to analyze the data? Why do you want to analyze the data? I want to analyze the historical data to see how my sales are improving over the last few years. Fair enough, right? I'm running an organization. I have to understand my market standpoint, who are my competitors, how my competitors are doing, and how am I improving? Are my sales improving over my competitors? So all these things I have to analyze, right? And I have to build strategies. Okay, so this particular system, OLAP system, helps you analyze the data and build strategies. Okay, build strategies or decision making. Okay, let's say my product is selling very fast. Now I want to decide. I need to decide how much do I have to procure, how much of raw materials I have to procure in order to meet the demand. So I have to do a lot of planning, strategy making, or decision making. Okay, so this OLAP system is a system that helps you in making such decisions. So these OLAP systems essentially provide information. Okay, so obviously in order to come up with such strategies or to analyze the data, this should have historical data, meaning let's say 7 years, 10 years, whatever it could be. Okay, this OLAP system will have historical data. Okay, whereas OLTP system is a real-time system, so the transactions are happening. Like for example, for a day, let us say we receive 1,000 sales orders. I'm just taking a small number. Okay, that number is made up number. That's not real. 1,000 sales orders. The system has to support so many transactions, parallel transactions, and the system has to store so much data. So the data volume is high here. Data volume, the daily data volume, transaction data volume is high. So the history of data stored is less, meaning let's say 6 months to 1.5 years is an average period of time for which the data resides in OLTP system. Right? Because if there is more data in the database, then the transactions slow down. Okay, because we have a limited database size, and we have several modules. Our data volume is huge, so we have to make sure that we archive the data frequently. Okay, whereas this OLAP system is built for that purpose. It's built for reporting or providing information or storing historical data, aggregated data. So this particular system can store long historical data. All right. So this OLTP system is operation critical, meaning if something goes wrong, power outage, whatever it could be, natural disaster, it could be, whatever it is, if the system goes down, then the entire activity comes to a halt, right? No sales orders, no invoices, no revenue. The organization revenue is at stake. The organization operation is at stake. So for that purpose, the OLTP system is operation critical system. Okay, whereas if this particular system goes down for some reason, the same reasons that I mentioned for OLTP system, whatever it could be, natural disaster, mechanical malfunction, electrical malfunction, whatever it could be, if there is a disaster, if the system goes down by any chance, you can live with it. Meaning the information that I'm supposed to get today, I'll get 2 days later. Correct? So this system is not operation critical system. Okay, so these are the major differences between an OLTP system and an OLAP system. Both are part of ERP packages. Okay, so now with this information, let us go to SAP world and understand what are the systems that cater to OLTP and OLAP. SAP world, OLTP versus OLAP. All right. So SAP came up with one product, which is called ECC. Stands for Enterprise Central Component. Okay, ECC. We call it ECC. This is very famous. Like if you are in SAP world, ECC is a name, or ECC is something that you hear almost day in and day out. Okay, so this ECC system is our OLTP system. Okay, all the transactions, all the modules that I said here, majority of the modules. That's, for example, sales, right? Finance, accounting, procurement, manufacturing, all these functional areas, function modules or functional areas, they are implemented here. Transaction system. Okay, so what is the OLAP system? Then SAP came up with, when the demand for reporting or information system increased, SAP came up with a system called BW system, business warehouse, right? Business warehouse system, SAP BW system, which is SAP version of OLAP system. Okay, so OLTP is ECC system. This is also called R3 system. Okay, R3 system. Why it is called R3 system? I will explain that in a moment. Okay, and this is called BW system. Interchangeably, sometimes it is also called BI system for business intelligence. Okay, so BW and BI are used interchangeably. So this is the OLAP system. Okay, the data gets loaded from this particular source system into BW and several other systems into SAP BW. Okay, which is the OLAP system, third-party system, let's say. Okay, the data gets loaded from here, and information is provided from this particular system. Information. Okay, so OLTP system helps with the transactions, day-to-day transactions. The data is loaded from OLTP, brought over from OLTP system into OLAP system, which is BW system, which combines data from any other system that is available over in the client place and then provides information. Then we'll have a question. Danveer is asking a question here. We have reporting in ECC as well. Does it make it OLAP system? Very good question. Very good question. Danveer, excuse me for one moment. Really sorry. So Danveer, very good question. The question from the Danveer is like, ECC also has reports. So does that make ECC OLAP system? The answer is no. The reason is this: the main purpose of ECC system is supporting transactions. Okay, there are some reports. There are definitely options for reporting. You can write custom ABAP report, right? That's what you're talking about. Custom ABAP reports, standard delivered SAP reports like VA05, for example, for finance, right? So these reports are called operational reports. Okay, these are called operational reports. Let me close this chat window. These are called operational reports. Okay, so operational reports are like, which are required for very much like, for the purpose of operations. For example, I as a customer interact with this company, like, buy a lot of things from the Amazon.com. So I call up Amazon.com and I ask them, give me a list of all the products I bought in the last 3 months. Right? I can get this information from the BW system if I have loaded it here, or 3 to 6 months worth of data is generally stored here in ECC system itself, and so I can retrieve it here. Or I can call up and say, I want to cancel the order that I want to, I placed it yesterday, right? So in that case also, they cannot, go here because those operations are done here. So those data will have to be retrieved from this particular system. So minimal amount of reporting, which is called operational reporting, is also possible in ECC, but that does not make BW or make it an OLAP system. OLAP system is, it carries that much of historical data because of a reason called multi-dimensional modeling. Multi-dimensional modeling. Okay, this is a multi-dimensional system. Basically, there is a lot of modeling activity that goes on when you bring the data from any source into the BW system. That is why there is a multi-dimensional modeling that goes on in this particular system, which cannot be done here. Okay, so this is just for operation reporting. This is for analysis reporting. A system that is used for analysis reporting, like decision-making capabilities, that system is called OLTP system or SAP BW system. Okay, does it make sense? Danveer? Perfect. And one more thing. I told you in my previous slide that ECC or OLTP system is operational critical, right? So the operation has to be very quick and fast. It's just not a system which will take forever to process an operation. So it has to be very quick and fast. If you are running a report which is let's say we store 1.5 years worth of data in ECC, and you are running a report which will retrieve and do a lot of calculation on 1 year of data, huge volume. So most of the system resources will be utilized towards processing that kind of huge data. So in that case, the transactions will slow down. So for that reason also, SAP and the general market advises you not to run resource extensive reports in ECC. And this particular system is, OLAP system is built for that purpose, and you can definitely run system hungry programs or reports in this particular system. Okay, that is one more reason. All right. So that is about different SAP products, SAP and SAP BW. Now, I told SAP BW, SAP ECC is called R3 system. Okay, R3 system. R3 is nothing but 3-tier architecture. Okay, SAP was the very first, SAP ECC was the first product they came up with. That is why they named it R3 architecture. In this architecture, you will have a GUI, graphical user interface, and an application server. Okay, application server and a database. Right? The GUI connects to the application server, and the application server connects to database. So because it has 3 components, it is called 3-tier architecture or R3 architecture or R3 system. So now you can ask me, does BW system or any other system like SAP APO system, do they have a different architecture? No, they also have the same architecture. SAP BW system also will have application server, will have a database, and will have a GUI which will connect to the application server, right? But since ECC is the very first product that SAP came out with, okay, and they had 2-tier architecture first. Okay, when they came out with, they had 2-tier. It was not called ECC system, it was called R2 system. Okay, R2 system, wherein we had application server plus GUI in one component. Okay, and then database in the other. Okay, so this was R2 architecture. Okay, this is R2. Okay, and then they started improvising this, and they came up with this is the best architecture, R3. So ECC system is the first system that came out in R3 architecture or 3-tier architecture. That is why it is also called R3 system. Afterwards, the new products that came, the new dimension products or the reporting system, BW system that came out, they also came out with the 3-tier architecture, but they are not called R3 systems. For the simple reason that the first system that came out in this architecture is named as architecture. It is just a naming convention, nothing to do with the later products. Okay, so ECC system is also called R3 system for that matter. Okay, so now if you see in either R2 architecture or R3 architecture, the common component is database. Okay, so that is a bare minimum requirement for any application. Okay, now I'm trying to come to a point to explain what is HANA. Okay, now we have seen what is SAP, what is OLTP, what is OLAP, what is ECP, what is BW. Now we have to understand, where does HANA come into picture? What is SAP HANA? Where does HANA come into picture, and why HANA? Okay, these questions. So now SAP applications, how will they be? So let us say we have an ECC system. Okay, ECC system, it will be having a GUI, obviously, that is required because it is a 3-tier architecture, right? GUI connects to ECC system, and let us say we have traditional database, that's RP database. Okay, so this is our ECC system architecture, right? Similarly, we have BW system, which is our OLAP system. Okay, so BW, we have a database. I'll take this as SQL database. Just to tell you guys that the database could be anything, any database. Okay, so GUI plus reporting tools. Reporting tools, because BW system is used for reporting or information purpose. So this is the architecture of BW system. Okay, so in here, the common thing that you have to observe is that you have a database. You have a database for any application, whether it is transaction system or analysis system. We need a database. That's a mandatory thing. Okay, so now SAP is saying remove this database. I'll give you a new type of database called HANA. Okay, replace your existing database with HANA. Okay, whatever it could be. It could be SQL or it could be HANA. Replace this or SQL or Oracle or whatever it could be. Replace this with HANA. Okay, and your performance will increase. Your performance will increase. So that is what SAP is saying. Okay, so now we have to understand what is HANA, why SAP is proposing HANA, what is the advantage for the organizations by moving away from their existing database. They might be Oracle database has been in the market for so long time, right? So what is the incentive or what is the motivation for a customer to move away from their existing proven database to HANA, right? That is what we have to understand now. Okay. So to explain that, let us understand the way the traditional databases work. Okay, a traditional database is a mechanical device. Traditional database is a mechanical device. Okay, it's a mechanical device. For example, if you go and buy a laptop, right? If you go and buy a laptop, then you get something called HDDs, right? 1 terabyte RAM or 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive, for example. Okay, so these HDDs or hard disk drives are the mechanical drives like database of laptop, correct? So these are mechanical devices. If you see the specification for these hard disk drives, HDDs, then they will have a specification like 2300 RPMs, etc. Because they have a head which rotates at this speed of 2300 RPM, rotations per minute. Okay, that is why it is called a mechanical device. Okay, in any traditional approach, in any traditional database approach, okay, so we have an application server. Okay, we may or may not have a separate GUI, so I'm not showing GUI here. We have a database. Okay, let us say we have a GUI. Okay, so GUI sends a request to the application server for some data. Okay, so it sends a request. Okay, now this request is first processed to the application server. Application server understands what is this request coming from this particular GUI, and then it passes this request. It formats the request in a way the database can understand and sends the request to the database. Okay, sends the request to the database. The database has to understand this particular request coming from the application server and retrieve that kind of data, whatever is in this particular request, and then send the data back, response. Okay, and since this is a mechanical device, like I told here, it has to do so many operations, so many rotations, or whatever the mechanical operation that it has to do in order to retrieve this kind of data, right? So the response is intercepted by the application server and sent back to the GUI. So this is the common request response architecture of any system. Okay, or result. I'll call it as result here. Okay, this response from here may be messaged or formatted by application server and sent to the GUI. So that is why I'll call it as result. So request to result. Okay, so in this operation, this particular operation called input operation, and this particular operation where the database sends the data back to the application server or the GUI is called output operation. Okay, so the input and output operation. Together, a process of data retrieval from a database is called I/O operation, input-output operation. Okay, so the I/O operation is very slow in this kind of traditional databases because of the way the database is constructed. Okay, and also the communication. The database could be sitting in some other location, the network communication, and all these things play a lot of. They are the hindrances, or they delay the processing of data. Okay, so this is one major reason or bottleneck of these traditional databases. Okay, let us see one more scenario. Let us see a scenario of RAM, or random access memory. Right? So in the same laptop, let's say we have a CPU. Right? We have a CPU, and we have a hard disk drive which is 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, whatever it could be. Right? HDD, which is like our traditional database. We store the data here in this particular hard disk drive, and there is a component called RAM, or random access memory, or this is also called main memory. Right? Pretty much everyone should be familiar with this terminologies, RAM or main memory. So what does it do? It is sitting on the CPU board. Main memory will sit on the CPU board, and it will be working in closely with the CPU. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. Okay, so these two work very close with each other. Okay, the operation or the communication between this and CPU and the RAM is very fast. How do you know? Let's say we open Google Chrome and hit the website www.yahoo.com. Simple example. Pretty much everyone does browsing these days. So I want to see the news in yahoo.com. So I go to yahoo.com. So what does it do? So the Chrome browser or any browser passes the request to the CPU. I need this information from this page, right? So now it has to get the data from somewhere, internet, DNS server in the internet. Okay, DNS server in the internet. So this CPU, what it does is it sends the request to the DNS server, associated DNS server, and gets the hello. Thank you, Michael. So it sends the request to this DNS server and gets the content of that particular yahoo.com web page from this after resolving the name from the internet. It gets the data from this particular website and puts it into the main memory, and then gets this from the main memory and sends the data to the yahoo.com or browser. Okay. Michael, I request you to keep your microphone on mute unless you want to speak. Okay, because it's creating some noise in the background. All right. So now this is the path. The path of information travel all the way from the browser to the CPU to the DNS server to internet to main memory and back to the browser. Right. So this travel time for the first time becomes very high. Okay. Then second time, if you go to yahoo.com again, the system CPU checks if you have this data in the RAM or main memory. If it has it in the main memory, if it is available in the main memory or cache as we call, right, it returns the data from the main memory or cache and it sends it to the web page or browser. So basically, the data is not at all traveling outside the CPU board, or the request is not at all traveling outside the CPU board. So the operation or the data return becomes very fast in this case. Why? Because the data is stored in the main memory, right? Main memory. So that means that this data retrieval is faster than this data retrieval because here we have I/O bottleneck. Okay, IO bottleneck is there. So SAP started thinking that if we can replace this hard disk drive with the main memory, then the operations will become very fast, because that will remove this IO bottleneck or input-output delay, and that will improve the data retrieval process. For that purpose, when they started several projects internally. They started a student project, and a result of which is SAP HANA. Okay, result of all these products is SAP HANA. So what is SAP HANA? SAP HANA started as a IMDB. When it started, it was called IMDB. Okay, IMDB stands for in-memory database. In-memory database. It started as IMDB. That is why I'm telling you in-memory database. People ask me this question: is it a database? Then I'll tell you. I'll tell the students or anyone that they ask me, it is not just a database. It is a database plus more. What is it? So after IMDB, they made it IMCE. Okay, IMCE stands for in-memory computing engine. Okay, in-memory computing engine. And then they improvised it further and they called it as appliance. Appliance. So the full form of HANA is High Performance Analytic Appliance. Okay, it is an appliance. It is not a database. So I tell that my answer to those people who ask me whether it is a database, I'll say yes, HANA is equal to a database plus more. Database plus more, which results into an appliance. So now you cannot call HANA just a database. You cannot call HANA just a database. Okay, so that is SAP HANA, which is high performance analytic appliance, which is database plus more. So now you know that SAP HANA, as the name suggests, as the name itself suggests, is in-memory database. Just give me one moment, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. Sorry, guys. So it is an in-memory database. Assume in this particular scenario, you get rid of this. Okay, you get rid of this, and instead of that, you replace this hard disk drive with main memory. Right? So in this case, the performance of this entire operation will be much faster. Okay, that is the incentive. That is the incentive today. Today's world is all about the speed of operations and the accuracy of data. Right? Speed of operations, because the data volumes are huge in the organizations. So speed of processing, accuracy of data, processing capability. So these are three different parameters that definitely motivates a customer to move towards a product. So that is what this particular HANA is: in-memory database plus more. In-memory database plus more. That is the reason why SAP HANA is very lucrative for customers in today's world. Okay, because it is SAP in-memory product, in-memory database. So SAP HANA is high performance analysis appliance. It's an in-memory data platform or appliance. Okay, that is deployable as on-premises or on cloud. We'll explain that later. On-premise or on cloud. Okay, so it is a revolutionary platform that is best suited for performing real-time analytics and developing and deploying real-time applications. Okay, so is this the first in-memory product by SAP? No, there were so many other products. For those of you who are familiar with SAP BW system, there was another piece of hardware that SAP came up with sometime back, which is called BWA, which stands for BW Accelerator. Okay, BW Accelerator. So what it would do a similar thing like a database, secondary database. So applications BW system sitting on a traditional database. Okay, and it will have a BW Accelerator, okay, as a secondary database. Okay, so the data from this particular database would be loaded in here, and this is an in-memory database, in-memory product hardware. So the reports would be directed towards BWA. Reports will be running on the data that is stored in BW Accelerator. Okay, so BWA had something called a new type of engine, search engine called text search engine. Okay, so BWA is one of their earlier in-memory products. So similarly, they had different versions or different products. Business Objects Explorer Accelerated version. Okay, Enterprise Search. Okay, CRM, customer segmentation, example, business by design. So these are all some analytical applications which were in memory. So here I'm just trying to say that HANA is not the first application that is in memory. There are several other applications. Okay, so what is SAP HANA? HANA is an in-memory application which will support all real-time analytics, real-time operations, real-time analytics, as well as historical data analysis. So now, after HANA comes into picture, okay, SAP, the reporting world is called enterprise reporting. Okay, enterprise reporting. So we can combine both operational reports as well as analytical reports into one type of report called enterprise reporting. Okay, that is the best part of SAP BW or SAP HANA. Now HANA comes into picture, they're calling reporting as enterprise reporting, not SAP or BW reporting, analytical reporting or operational reporting anymore. Okay, so why HANA? Why HANA is fast? First of all, it is main memory. Why main memory? Because the innovation in manufacturing of the PCBs or boards or electronic equipments, right? So they are so mature these days that they can pack a lot of memory in one chip, right? This is just an example. This is an old example, but still, this gives you an idea that so much of information, so much of memory can be included in such a small chip or a board. Okay, so achieving this kind of data like storage, main memory area becomes very, very easy because of hardware innovation. That is the first part. And then software innovation, software side optimizations. We will see when we come to the actual training class, what is software optimization, what is row store, what is column store, and all those things. SAP has allowed like storage of data in either row store format or column store format. Okay, so column store format, column store data storage, okay, that is very, very optional or optimized for reporting purposes. Okay, so all this, it is not just hardware, it is both hardware plus software side optimization. A combination of both hardware and software innovation is what makes HANA fast. Okay, now why SAP HANA? I explained this a few moments ago. Performance bottleneck in the past, disk input output operation, right? We had main memory, but the limitation was limited main memory. CPU waiting for data to be loaded into the main memory, correct? So that is the bottleneck today. So by increasing this main memory size, we are eliminating this bottleneck. All right. So what is the idea? One more thing. So what is the reason why SAP HANA is fast, software side plus hardware side? But there's one more thing. Suppose we had to do any calculation in the traditional approach. Okay, in the traditional approach, I'll just name this as please keep your microphones on mute unless you want to speak up or ask questions. Okay, please. I request again. So in SAP HANA approach, there is a difference. Okay, if there is let's say there is an application server. Okay, and there is a database. Okay, here front end, any report or anything, front end GUI is asking for A plus B. Request is coming as A plus B from the front end. What is A plus B? Simple example. Okay, I'm giving a simple example. Okay, so this value A and B are stored in the database. A and B are stored here in the database. Okay, so in traditional approach, in the classical approach before HANA, what would happen? The application receives this A plus B equal to request. Okay, this sends the request to the database and retrieves A and B from the database. Okay, it gets A and B from the database, sends the request to the database. A and B are sent to the application server, and application server performs A plus B equal to C. Okay, A plus B equal to C, and sends this data, which is C result, to output or the GUI. Okay, so if you see here, the data is pulled to the application server, operations are performed on in the application server, and the result is pushed back to the GUI. That is the traditional approach. Okay, what does SAP HANA do? Same thing. Let us say same application. Okay, same application stuff. This one, let us say now we have HANA. Okay, HANA. We have the data stored here, A and B. So far, everything looks the same. The request comes from GUI or front end for A plus B, right? The application server, instead of sending just the request, it pushes the operation to the database. So what does the request contain? The request does not contain the request for data. Request contains A plus B. Give me A plus B. What is operation? What is this? It sends the operation to the database. So here performs A plus B here. A plus B equal to C. This operation happens in the database, and then it sends C back to the application server, and it passes this information result to the GUI. See, the operation is pushed down to the database. What is the advantage? So here I'm retrieving, and then let us assume that it has to store C. Okay, once after the calculation, it has to push the result to database also. So it has to push C also to the database, the result of operation. Correct? So if you observe in the traditional or classical approach, the data is returned to the application server, operations are performed in the application server, and the result is pushed back to the database. So there is data moving back and forth from the application server is like that, consumes a lot of processing time and resources. Okay, whereas you are here in HANA, you are pushing the operation to the database. So the database takes care of the calculation, and it pushes the result back, only the result back to the application server. So this way, the back and forth movement of the data between the application server and database is reduced, so the resource is optimized. So that is what this particular slide says. The operations which were being done at the application layer in the traditional classical approach are pushed down to the database layer or HANA. Okay, this is another slide which gives you an idea. Before in the traditional approach, we used to get whatever we want to the application layer from the database and then operate it. But here, you push the operation itself to the database. I like this graphical representation. It's very intuitive and very kind of, helps you understand. Okay, so simple example, how HANA is faster. There is a transaction called VA05, which is used for returning sales orders in an organization. So this is a classical test result that has been shared by SAP. It says number of records fetched were so much. Okay, in a traditional approach, in a traditional database, it took 14 minutes to get even the partial results, whereas in HANA it took 12.671 seconds. Okay, that means it is faster. It's faster. And then operational reporting, same thing. Another transaction which is returning a lot of records, which took 7.5 minutes for partial results, came back within 1.25 seconds. That is the kind of performance improvement that we are talking about by bringing in HANA. Okay, and HANA allows you to store the data only once and view it from different angles. This is something that we will be covering in detail in the training course. Okay, so I'm not going to go in detail, but I'm just trying to say here that store the data only once and view it in different angles concept. Okay, with different views. Okay, that is the approach of SAP HANA. And now the next thing is SAP HANA initially started as one system on HANA, right? SAP ECC system on HANA database, right? And SAP BW on HANA database, separate databases. It started as one database for one application. Okay, now the trend is enterprise database. Okay, SAP ECC and BW on one HANA system. One HANA database, which is called enterprise HANA. Both the applications share the same database. Okay, but still there has to be a partition. This partition cannot see this partition, and vice versa. Okay, that is the status today. But SAP's future plan is one application for all, meaning one database for all applications. So SAP ECC, SAP BW. Let's say we have another system here, whatever it could be, SAP API system. Okay, all the applications sitting on the same database, enterprise HANA. So ECC, BW, and API, all the systems or any other third-party system. So all the systems on the same database without partitioning. That is the aim of SAP HANA. That is the direction in which SAP HANA is moving. Okay. So that is why in the market today you will see different types of implementations. Okay, SAP BW on HANA implementation is called BW on HANA, as the name says. These are BW on HANA implementations. Okay, these are native HANA implementations or suite on HANA implementations. Okay, these are the two types of projects. And migration project. wherein you have BW sitting on a traditional database or ECC sitting on a traditional database, and you are moving away from that traditional database and moving into HANA, migrating the databases. These are the types of projects that you see in today's market. Okay. So what are the roles and responsibilities that you can find in a project? So in any of these, you can observe, if you have BW expertise, okay, then you can get into BW on HANA project or BW on HANA migration project, okay, or if you don't have it, okay, then you can go in HANA modeler, okay. How it is HANA modeling, we will cover in detail in the traditional approach, in the training, sorry. In the training, we will cover what exactly is HANA modeling, attribute views, analytic views, calculation views, everything. Okay, so these are the different types of roles that we are looking at. HANA modeler, okay. HANA administrator is basically basis or system maintenance. We will not get into that part. Okay, HANA project manager, project management, BW on HANA developer. These are the type of roles that we see in the market today. Okay, so now Kiran is asking me a question here. Is S4 HANA and Suite on HANA are the same? Very good question. Very good question. I did not want to confuse you guys here. That is why I did not bring that topic up. Okay. So what is S4 HANA? S4 HANA is not Suite on HANA. S4 HANA stands for suited for HANA or Suite on HANA, but it is not. So we have ECC system on traditional database. Okay, this is the initial status of an ECC system. Then let us say we migrate from traditional database to HANA, Suite on HANA. This becomes Suite on HANA, right? This becomes Suite on HANA. Now we do some optimization on this and make this to S4 HANA. Okay, S4 HANA. So if you observe in this process, okay, Suite on HANA is different from S4 HANA. But still, the ECC system is sitting on Suite on HANA here, and ECC system is sitting on S4 HANA. So the difference between S4 HANA and Suite on HANA is only technical difference. Okay. The database is the same, only the way the data is stored is different here. So what I mean is S4 HANA is lighter version of Suite on HANA. Okay, it is lighter, meaning the data storage the way the data is stored. There were so many indexes that were stored. There were so many shadow tables that were created in Suite on HANA. They have removed all those things. They made it very simple to store the data in S4 HANA. Okay, that is why the products, if you see the applications on S4 HANA, they are called as simple applications, simple finance, simple logistics, which is coming up. Simple finance is the only one which is available in the market today. Simple logistics, because finance and logistics were there here as well, but they have simplified the operation or the storage parameters. So technically there is a lot of difference between Suite on HANA and S4 HANA, but functionality wise we'll get the same functionality for ECC system. Okay, but this is a lighter and faster version of Suite on HANA. Okay. Yeah. So to answer your question, Kiran, S4 HANA and Suite on HANA are not the same. They are different, but they're technically different. Functionality wise, they are same. They are databases plus more. Okay. Right. Application table wise, they are different. Okay. So these are the roles and responsibilities. Some success stories, which I don't want to go in detail. Course contents and structures. Basically, there are three parts that I'm going to cover. Okay. Course content. So whenever there is HANA, there are three parts to it. Okay. First part is Data provisioning. Data provisioning, meaning bringing the data into HANA database. There are several techniques to bring the data into HANA database. They are called data provisioning techniques. So we will learn in detail about data provisioning techniques. Okay. Now, second part, once the data is loaded into SAP HANA, the next thing comes modeling. We call it as information modeling. Okay. So we massage the data within the HANA database. We bring the data where we create different views, as I showed you in this particular slide here. Okay, we create different views of the data. That is called information modeling. We perform modeling. So we are going to learn modeling in detail. Okay. Last but not the least, reporting. It could be reporting. So once the data is massaged, we can consume the data into using some of the reporting tools like business objects, for example. Okay. So this is what I'm going to cover predominantly in this particular course, but I will also cover different topics, other topics which are not related to this, for example, transports, right? Transports in SAP BW, system architecture, and then BW and HANA to some extent. I'm not going to cover that completely. You understand that that's a separate course altogether, but I'm going to cover the topics, some of the topics, so that you have an idea of what BW HANA is. Okay, so this is predominantly what we cover in this particular training course, and the training is going to be roughly about 60 hours, and it's going to be weekend batches, Saturday and Sunday morning, and roughly 3 hours every session. Okay, minimum 3 hours. Sometimes I will extend it 4 hours, 5 hours. There are batches wherein I have gone up to even like 5.5 hours. Okay, but that is only if the students are okay. If the students are not okay, if they are loaded, I will not go that far. Okay, so on an average, you can say that my classes go around 3 hours.
Sunil.
Yes.
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
The data provisioning thing, is it the data migration?
No. Data provisioning and data migration is different. Okay, data provisioning is loading the data into HANA. Data migration, when you say data migration, that means to say we have data in the old database and we are bringing that data, we are migrating from old database into the new database. So the old data that is sitting in the old database has to be brought onto the HANA database. That is migration.
Like when we are moving ECC to HANA, it will be data migration, right?
Correct. That is data migration. Database migration, that is data migration. Correct.
And what is this then? What is data provisioning?
Data provisioning, very good question. So let us say we have, this is explained very well in the BW scenario, so I will explain that how it works, or standalone database, whatever it could be, SAP BW sitting on SAP HANA. Okay, let us say this is the scenario. Now this HANA is the primary database for BW. Now our ECC, or there is a traditional system, or there is an ECC system which is sitting on a traditional database. Okay, so we have to bring the data from this database into HANA. This is not migration. This is not that something was already there in the HANA database. This is something which I'm bringing from other database into HANA database. Or there could be a standalone.
Migration is also the same thing, bringing data from database to HANA.
But
right?
Migration is basically what you are doing is, we have traditional database here. We have the database is a primary database. We have a primary database, which is a traditional database, which has data, and we are getting rid of this and we are bringing this here. We are replacing the database. So the data in this particular database has to be here. It is not new. It is new to HANA, but it is not new to the system. But this data is new to the system. You get the difference?
Yes, but going forward, you were saying that, okay, BW and ECC will be on the same HANA database, right?
Correct.
Then there will be no data provisioning.
That is the future. That is the future.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet. It's not going to happen so soon. Like, it's going to happen like probably 10, 12 years down the line, but not immediately.
Okay. So right now, if BW is on HANA and ECC is on a HANA, still these two will be different databases, and we will use database the data provisioning technique to bring data from the ECC HANA server, ECC HANA database to BW HANA database.
Correct. It could be either ETL approach, the traditional ETL data sources extraction, that approach, or we have different approaches like BODS, SLT, so these approaches. So still we have to use these data provisioning techniques to bring the data.
One general question. When we are moving ECC from regular database, traditional database to HANA database, does the HANA consultant play any role? I'm asking these questions. Let me tell my background. I'm a functional consultant. I'm a MMWM functional consultant, and my company is targeting end of 2016 or early 2017 to move the ECC to HANA database. Right now, we are using a sidecar approach. We have run 4 or 5 reports, financial and procurement reports as well on HANA. Right now we are running, and they are giving excellent performance.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Dhanvir, just to give you an idea, when HANA comes into picture, there are so many things that happen, okay? As I told you, HANA brings in a lot of performance improvement. Transactions happen faster. So as a functional consultant, what you are looking at is basically function area, enhancement of functionalities like, enhancement of finance screen or, those things, right? So you are coordinating those things. But when HANA comes into picture, the operational reporting, or either it is ECC on HANA or BW on HANA, when the HANA comes into picture, the customer tends to, create different views of data, because the operations can be performed in the HANA database now. It doesn't affect the SAP application server anymore, right? If you want to do some reporting.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. The question is like, okay, there is data in traditional database. Now we are moving the data to the HANA database. Will it be so easy, just like migrating the data, or will there be any techniques? Because there will be different tables, I guess, in SAP HANA as well,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely.
So there also HANA consultant will play a role if we are migrating.
It definitely is a tedious process. It is not so easy. You are absolutely right. Obviously, it is not easy because we are replacing the database. So there will be lots of challenges, but most of the activities are streamlined now. Okay, they have tools. They have migration tools which take care of data migration also, but that is a step. Basis administrators take care of those activities. But there will be a lot of bottlenecks, there will be a lot of issues that come, depending upon the database. You are moving from Oracle to SQL, you are moving from Sybase to SQL, or SQL to HANA, Oracle to HANA, Teradata to HANA. So whatever it could be, there is a separate approach for all of them. Most of the tasks lie with the system administrators or basis administrators. Some tasks that functional consultant or technical consultants that we do in this migration process is basically to make sure nothing breaks by moving from, for example,
that will be part of regression testing, right?
Yeah, that's what we do as functional consultant or technical consultant. That's what we have to make sure, because let's say if they are migrating, they're doing a Unicode conversion. They're splitting the stacks, ABAP stack and Java stack. So they're doing all these activities. You cannot do anything there, right? The modeling tools take care of that, and the SAP basis administrators are the ones who will be doing that. We have to support them. Suppose, let's say, I don't know if you have done upgrades. There were like transactions, SPDD, and I forgot the transactions, sorry. So if you have enhanced standard SAP content, then while upgradation of the versions, SAP enhancement package implementation, or moving from SAP ECC 5 to ECC 6, in those kind of scenarios, if you have enhanced SAP standard features, then SAP comes up and says, I don't know how to handle this. Do you want me to migrate this as is, or do you don't want to move this? So these kind of things come up, right? The screens. So at that phase, the basis administrators cannot do anything. Basically, they don't know. What to do with this?
That is okay. That is where my question was. Like, how would basis know about the procurement business, about the finance business,
No.
about the sales business? They might have custom tables. There will be so many custom ABAP codes.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. This is where we come into picture, right? So if something goes on, let's say finance, BSEC table migration. Actually, cluster tables are simplified in S4 HANA, Suite on HANA, or S4 HANA. Cluster tables are very, very simplified.
Simple finance, right?
Yeah, simple finance.
And I was following simple logistics. They are doing the same.
Exactly.
Right?
The concept of cluster tables is going away. So while migrating from SAP traditional database to HANA database, let's say while migrating the while converting the cluster table into a traditional into a regular table, transparent table, the system comes across some error. So what do? They don't know what is this BSEC table. I don't know. You know. So that's when you come into picture. You try to analyze what is going wrong, and you interact with SAP. You go through the SAP notes, and you understand. You analyze. Then you say, okay, this is what we have to do. You instruct them. So whenever in the migration project, basically, if you come across anything that is functional side, which basis team cannot handle, that is when you come into picture. Otherwise, there is the general regression testing and integration testing that you are doing. That's all it is. Before snapshot, after snapshot. Make sure that everything is working as is before and after.
Sunil, this is Kiran here.
Kiran.
I'm a web consultant. I just want to know what's the role of consultant.
Kiran, I'm really sorry. Your voice is very feeble. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. How's it now?
Yeah, better. Yeah.
Okay. I'm an ABAP consultant.
ABAP consultant. Okay.
Yeah. The role.
Oh, your voice became very feeble. Sorry, Kiran. Kiran, I can't hear you.
No. I'm sorry. I can type in.
No, your voice is kind of varying. The pitch is varying.
So he's asking that he's an ABAP consultant. How will his role change depending from when we move to HANA?
ABAP consultant. See, the thing is, all the ABAP structures, right? All the ABAP is OpenSQL, OpenSQL. Basically, it is a subset of SQL, right? So now, when we move to HANA, everything is native SQL, not OpenSQL anymore, right? So all the ABAP statements, all the customizations that you might have done in ABAP using ABAP code, they may not work as they were in HANA, because most of the things are same, like the syntaxes, pretty much everything is same. If you see, OpenSQL is a subset of SQL, so you don't see a reason why it should not work. But that's on paper, that's theory. But in practical migration projects, they go wrong. Okay, the programs which were working before, they will not work because some lines of code do not work on HANA. You know what I mean? So these kind of things, they come into picture. Then you have to analyze SQL. Then you have to analyze, go to SAP has provided lots of notes. You have to, obviously, everyone will not have exposure to that. You will have to do some research. You will have to go to the SAP marketplace, get the replacement, go through the notes. Then you have to replace those SAP, statements, ABAP statements into a new statement, which is compatible with HANA. So these are, this is not, don't think this is just one activity I'm telling you. These are the technical. For example, if you have written an interface, smart form or PDF form, right? They sometimes, when you move, even though the system is Unicode compatible and everything, when you move from traditional database to HANA database, the format goes off. Okay, so these are the things that you'll be handling. Is that clear?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So definitely, you will play a lot of, you will have a lot of activity during this migration process, and even afterwards. you will have to customer want to build some information models. So that becomes a object of HANA modeler or whoever has HANA expertise. Okay, so SQL becomes one important thing. So pretty much, if you are a ABAPer, it's easy for you to learn SQL. It's not hard. I did it like 4 years ago when I started on HANA. I knew ABAP because I started as an ABAPer, but I did not know SQL. But I learned it on the project, right? So it's not big thing, but you have to, obviously you have to update yourself. Definitely, a very good question. All right. So, any more questions, guys? Otherwise, we'll wrap up today's session and.
Okay, one more question. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Go ahead.
Yes. So SAP modeler is one job, right?
HANA modeler.
HANA modeler, SAP HANA modeler, right?
Correct.
What is the other job we discussed?
I said SAP HANA modeler and then BW and HANA modeler and reporting. Some of the reporting.
SAP, okay, HANA modeler and BW and HANA modeler will be different. Oh, it is BW and HANA developer.
Developer or modeler. I mean, see, modeling activity is done in HANA as well as on BW. Okay. In BW, we call it as BW modeling. In HANA, we call it as HANA modeling or information modeling.
And we use the same tool?
No, they are different. BW modeling is done using BW. That is why I said, if you want to be a BW and HANA developer or modeler, you have to be, you are expected to know BW system. Okay, so BW modeling, that is why I put this as a different role. BW and HANA modeling, BW and HANA migration. These are some of the roles. Migration developer, migration architect, all this. These are some of the roles. Because HANA, suite on HANA migration is not that difficult. Because when I say not that difficult, it is straightforward, push and pull. But when it comes to BW on HANA migration, then there are so many things to be taken care of, like delta capabilities, delta queues, right? And then stack splitting. So there are so many things that come into picture. That is a little bit more complicated than traditional suite on HANA or native HANA migration. Okay, so but in all these cases there are complexities. The modelers are required. Developers are required. Functional people are required. Everyone is required. But purely from HANA perspective, these are the roles: HANA modeling, HANA migration consultants, project managers. I don't want to go in detail. What project management is. Administrators, which is basis. Okay. So that's pretty much the broad range of roles that you are looking at. All right, there was one more question from Michael. Please, does SAP HANA help with marketing research? If no, please, what SAP product do you recommend for this? Michael, I would like to answer this question, but today, unfortunately, I have some other commitments, so I have to get on another call at 7:30 my time in another 10 minutes. So I can't go in deep. Maybe we can have a one-on-one call if you want to discuss about this. How about that, Michael? I will ask Dinesh to arrange a call. Okay. And
Sunil, one more question.
Yeah.
Because you are in market, SAP HANA modeler and BW and HANA modeler. Because you said BW and HANA modeler, they are more complicated. Is it a difference in the pay rate as well?
So rate?
Yes.
Rate can vary.
I mean BW and HANA.
If you know the market, then you know the rate for ABAP developer and BW developer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you know the difference, then you will know the difference for this also.
No, I do not. I know for ABAP developer, not for BW
developer. It won't vary that much, to be frank with you. I don't want to give you a figure here. It won't vary that much, but it will be.
Which will be on the higher end?
Yeah. If you ask me, a BW consultant has to have functional knowledge and technical knowledge. So because he has to model the functional scenarios in BW. He or she.
Yes, BW guys are always talking to us, functional guys only.
That is still they get the knowledge, man. Right. No, so I totally agree. Without, at least to talk to you guys, they should have some knowledge, right?
Yes.
Without knowing anything in the functionality, like without knowing how the billing document is converted into accounting document, or what are the pricing conditions, how can they talk to you?
Correct.
Right? So, not much of a margin. I'm not generalizing this, but a little bit more. But functional consultants like you get the most. I can say that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I hope this session was good. And any questions? Feel free to reach out to me. I can have one-on-one session whenever my time permits.